Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Soumen Mondol. I'm a commercial property buyer's agent, and more importantly, that I become financially independent in 2023 through commercial property investing. Just to give you a clarity, that last 6 months I bought about $30 million worth of commercial property. So that gives you an indication that I know a little bit of about commercial property. So this video I can share with you. More importantly, one of the things in the lease, when you're going to read this in a particular clause, that I'm going to explain what it is and why it is so important. So if you want to know, then stick around. Alright, so when you want to buy a commercial property, particularly if it is a tenanted commercial property, which means there is a lease in place, right? If there is a lease in place, when you are purchasing, and part of that, you put the due diligence clause, and in that due diligence clause, you are going to read that lease. What does that lease entail? Is that whether the lease, I think the sole purpose of knowing is that whatever is written in the lease is kind of the rule book that is going to happen. So in that lease, one clause which is called make good clause, and in that make good clause, what does it basically means? That in the event tenant is moving out, like let's say when the tenant will move out, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later, that make good clause, whatever it is written, that needs to be applied. So let's look into this. So that means as a landlord, in that make good clause, you can put all these things that you want when tenant is going to move out. Now the general make good clause is like this. If it is depends on what type of property it is, you want tenants fit outs, which is basically whatever tenant who put into that property during their tenancy, and like they put an extra bassinet, they put their way of structuring, whatever fit out that they put it, you want that to be removed, and then you want an empty shell or the way you provide it. So that you can put it in the make good clause. You can also put it that, okay, I want a fresh 2-coat paint according to our choice of color, as a landlord choice of color, that you can put. So that means when tenant is going to move out, they are not only going to strip it out and they're going to render it and then do a 2 coats of paints so that it looks fresh when for the further tenancy. Now another thing that you can put, that let's say you put aircon, you said that, okay, I want all this air conditioning to be replaced when you will move out. Brand new, you want brand new. And now these things that you can put in your make good clause, and if you do, then tenant has to do all these things before they move out. Now the question that comes to your mind, Soumen, why would tenant agree on that? Remember, when tenant is coming to the business or in that premises, they are not thinking of moving out in tomorrow or day after tomorrow. They have been thinking for long term. So human psychology is that if something that is not going to happen immediately, generally they accept it. That's the first human psychology point of view. Like think about that. If I tell you that, 10 years down the line, if you are doing the business here, then you have to do this. This is a yeah, fine. I will agree with that because 10 years is long time. Perhaps I'm not going to move out after 10 years. I'll take the further tenancy and we'll see about that. So that would be your thought process as the tenant, and same thing that happens for the tenant as well. Then the next point that you can put together is the signage that tenant has put. You can say that this signage will be removed and it is going to be made in blank. So the point of these things is the make good clause. You can clearly write what you want at the time of when the tenancy ends and when the tenant moves out. And this is an important factor in the lease clause, and into read through. If you see that it is not there, and if you see that it is heavily in favor of the tenant, not on the landlord, then you will take that point as noted and make sure that you get the sufficient compensation in your purchase price to be able to allocate some money in the event they move out, and you have to do these things by yourself. Now the question that you comes to your mind, so all this fine, there is make good clause, but how do we enforce it? Now let's understand this from the tenant's point of view. In general, tenants are business people. If they have something called bond or bank guarantee, so they will not get that bond or bank guarantee back if they don't do these things. That's like one layer of protection, right? The second layer is that the business people, they have other assets that might be tied up. The business will have that value. So if they don't do as per the make good clause, you can chase through your lawyer, you can chase and you can get that thing back. And remember that particularly with the residential property, if you have a residential tenant, they just don't pay, it is very difficult to chase them because they don't have anything. In general, they don't have much money to chase for. Often if you pay the lawyer fees, like in this case, let's say QCAT, NCAT, VCAT, this kind of fees, and your property manager is not worth chasing that $2,000 or $3,000, whereas In commercial property, that could be $30,000, $50,000, at times even $200,000. So you would rather pay your lawyer $10,000, $20,000 to get that $200,000 back. Which is why you chase, and which is why as a commercial property tenant, you generally do not mess up with this. You rather do these things as per the book. In general, I'm talking about. Now let's also understand that personal guarantee. Often in the lease, you put that personal guarantee. As a tenant, whoever is the director put the personal guarantee. So in the event the business is not paying or doing all this make good clause, then you can chase. As a landlord, you can go to that person and say, hey, you put a personal guarantee, so I need that money from you as well. So this is the way that you protect your make good clause. And make sure if you are writing a lease, a brand new lease to attract a potential tenant, make sure all these make good clause is been put together so that it is you as a landlord are completely protected, and you do these things as part of your due diligence. And this will also help you if you sell that property ever. Those make good clause, if somebody who is buying will say that, yeah, I'm protected, I would rather pay a little bit premium for that property. So commercial property is not only about the property, it's also about lease terms. And knowing these lease terms and particularly make good clause can be a significant make and break for that property deal. I hope you find these videos helpful and understanding about this make good clause. If you have any questions, put together in the comments and I love to answer those. And also more importantly, I want you to learn more and more about commercial lease. I want you to understand about that commercial property can make you financially independent much quicker than any other form of investment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.